Good day, grade 10. This is day 24. It's about fraction equations. We are doing solving equations. It's chapter 4 in your textbook. So I'm going to explain some examples, and after that you're going to press pause and you're going to do exercise 3 from your textbook. You don't need your textbook. You can just go to the notes. The notes also has the numbers that you have to do from each exercise, and also the pages from the textbook scanned in there. So in the notes you can find the questions. You can do the questions, and after that you can just play and mark the questions with me on the video. So let's get started. First I have an equation and we have to solve for x, and we have in the denominators we do have x's. So what we have to do then is we have to factorize the denominators. Okay, so let's start. First, I'm just going to write the numerator and I'm going to factorize this denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize it as x minus 4 x plus 1. Then I see that I'm going to need a sign change. I'm going to need a sign change because there I have 4 minus x, but I want it to be x minus 4, like the one denominator in the first term. So I want it to be x minus 4. So when I change the sign from positive to negative, then I can switch them around, if you remember. Okay, so I switch them around and I get x minus 4. And then on the other side I'm going to take out a common factor of 2 and I'm left with x plus 1. Okay, now I need to find an LCD. Okay, to find the LCD, I'm going to look at all the denominators. First I need to get my restrictions. So restrictions mean what x cannot be. So why would x not be able to be something? Let's think about it. When I have in the place of x here a 4, when I put 4 in there, then I get 4 minus 4, which gives me 0, which makes this whole thing 0 below the line. Can I have 0 below the line? No, I can never have 0 below the line because that gives me undefined. I can never divide by 0. So I have to restrict x. I have to say x cannot be equal to 4. And what else? What if I put in here, for instance, negative 1? Then I get negative 1 plus 1, which gives me 0 there below the line. That will also give me undefined. So I have to restrict x. X cannot be negative 1. And x cannot be equal to 4. So first I have to find the restrictions. Then I'm going to find the LCD. To find the LCD, I'm going to find all things that are below the line has to be present in my LCD. So first I have an x minus 4 and an x plus 1. Then x minus 4 repeats. So I'm only going to have it once. I don't have to have it twice. And then I have a 2 and then an x plus 1 again. So those that are highlighted with pink, those will be the LCD. So the LCD will be x minus 4, a 2 and an x minus 4 and an x plus 1. Okay, now I'm going to write my LCD everywhere, my common denominator. Okay, now I have to ask myself, what do I multiply that first denominator with to get to the LCD? I need to get from there to there. I am multiplying by 2. So then on top of the line I also multiply by 2. In brackets 3x minus 4. Then I write my LCD again and I ask myself, what do I multiply that denominator with to get to my LCD? I have to multiply it with a 2 and x plus 1. So it's 2 times 4 times x plus 1. And on the other side, I have a 2. I'm going to write the LCD again. And I ask myself, what do I do with that last denominator? What do I do with that last denominator to get to the LCD? I need to multiply with x minus 4. So, it's 5 times x minus 4. Okay, so now I taught you that when we have all the denominators the same, we can throw the denominator away. Okay, so we can just leave the denominator out and just work with the top stuff. So what do I need to do then? I need to multiply in. 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Then I have a negative 2 times 4 is 8. So negative 8 times x minus 1, I multiply it in. So it's negative, and then 8x plus 8 is equal to 5x minus 20. Okay, so that negative is very important. That's in front here, that negative is very important because I'm still going to multiply that in. So it's going to be 6x minus 8 minus 8 minus 8 minus 8x minus 8 is equal to 5x minus 20. Now I'm going to take all the x's to the one side of the equation and all the numbers to the other side. Okay, then I get on the left side negative 7x is equal to negative 4. Then to get x alone, I divide by negative 7 on the other side, and my answer will be 4 over 7. Now, it's very important to test your answer. So first I am going to check if I have restricted this answer. Did I restrict 4 over 7? No, the only numbers that were restricted was a negative 1 and a 4. So those were not restricted. But what I can do is I can take this 4 over 7 and I go put it into the equation with my calculator, and all in the places of x I put 4 over 7 with my calculator. Then I have to check if the left hand side and the right hand side give me the same answer. I always test my answer. In this case, the answer will work. Okay, this was on page 61 of your textbook if you need to refer to that. Okay, then number 2. I'm going to factorize the denominator. The first one is a trinomial that I'm going to factorize. So that's going to be x plus 1, x plus 2. Then I leave the top just as it was. Then I have, for the second denominator, I have a difference between two squares. So it's going to be x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay, and then on the other side, I'm going to take out a negative 1 or just a negative, and I'm left with x plus 1 below the line. Right, now I need my restrictions. The restrictions, okay, so let's think. Over here, negative 1 would be restricted. Over here, negative 2 would be restricted. And over here, positive 2 would be restricted. Okay, and then it repeats. So, to get my restrictions, I say x is not equal to 2, x is not equal to negative 2, x is not equal to negative 1. Then I need to find my LCD. My LCD will be x plus 1, x plus 2, x minus 2, and then they repeat. So, it's only x plus 2, x minus 2, and x plus 1. Alright. Now I write my LCD everywhere. And I ask myself, what do I multiply this first denominator with to get to my LCD? I need to multiply it with an x minus 2. So I have on top x minus 2 times x minus 3. And I write my LCD again. X plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 1. Okay, and I ask myself, what do I multiply this denominator with to get to the LCD? I need to multiply it with x plus 1. So I'm going to say 5 times x plus 1. On the other side, I write my LCD again. And I ask myself, what do I multiply this denominator with to get to the LCD? It's going to be an x plus 2 and x minus 2. So it's going to be 4 times x plus 2, x minus 2. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the denominator out because the denominator is the same everywhere. Now I need to multiply in. So it's going to be this one. The first one is the FOIL rule. So it's going to be x times x is x squared, x times negative 3 is negative 3x, negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. So that adds up to x squared minus 5x plus 6. Then I multiply this 5 in. 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 1, it's negative 5 that I need to multiply in. Remember this negative. So it's negative 5 times x is negative 5x, negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. On the other side, I have a FOIL rule and also a negative 4 to multiply in. So first I do the FOIL rule and I get x squared minus 4. And then I multiply the 4 in. So I have x squared minus 5x minus another 5x is negative 10x. And plus 6 minus 5 is plus 1. On the other side, I multiply the negative 4 in. So I have negative 4x squared plus 16. Now I take all the x's to the one side, everything to the one side, because I identify that now I have a quadratic equation. The rule for having a quadratic equation is to take everything to the left-hand side so that you have 0 on the right-hand side. We did that yesterday. So it's going to be 5x squared minus 10x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to take out a common factor of 5. Then I have x squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. I'm going to divide with that 5 to get rid of it, because now it's multiplied. So I'm going to divide on the other side. 0 divided by 5 just stays 0. So I can just factorize whatever's in brackets. If I factorize that, I get x minus 3 and x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then I set each bracket equal to 0 separately. X minus 3 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 3. Or x is equal to negative 1. Now I go look at my restrictions. The restriction said that x is not supposed to be equal to negative 1, and there I got x is equal to negative 1. So that answer will be not applicable. So I write it like that, NA for not applicable. And I make a little arrow below x is equal to 3 to show that's the only answer that works. Alright, now you do exercise 3. Don't do all the numbers, only do the numbers that are written in the notes. And you press pause now so that you can just finish your exercise. After that, you come back and we do exercise 3 together. Okay, welcome back. We will do exercise 3 together now. Okay, exercise 3, number A2. Okay, just follow my highlighter. Most of this is already written, so just follow my highlighter to follow what I'm saying. Okay, so first I'm going to check for this one. Doesn't need to be factorized because it's impossible to factorize. It's already very simple. So I'm just going to check for my LCD. My LCD is going to be an x, and then the x repeats, and a 2, so it's 2x. That will be my LCD. And what my restriction will be, x is not equal to 0, because if I have a 0 in the place of x, then I will have undefined. Alright, so then, when my LCD is 2x, I need to ask myself, what do I multiply my first denominator with? I multiply it with 2. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. Then the next one I also multiply by 2. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. The next one I also multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. The last denominator there needs an x. So I'm going to multiply the 5 by x and I get 5x. Now I take all the x's to the one side, all the numbers to the other side, and I get negative 5x is equal to 0. Divided by negative 5 is 0. So x is equal to 0. But x cannot be equal to 0 because we have the restriction. So there is no solution for this question. We just write no solution. Okay, the next one we need to see if we can factorize it. So first, what I'm going to do here is a sign change. I'm going to do a sign change here to switch these two around. Okay, I have a sign change and then it becomes x squared minus 4. Now I factorize that and it becomes x minus 2, x plus 2. Okay, now I need to get my restrictions. So if I put in here a 2, that will give me a 0 below the line. So x cannot be equal to 2. And over here a negative 2. So x cannot be equal to 2 or negative 2. Okay, that's my restrictions. Now for the LCD. For the LCD, I see that I have x minus 2 and an x plus 2. Okay, and then it repeats. So that will be my LCD, x minus 2 and x plus 2. Now I multiply each term to get to the LCD. The first one, I'm going to multiply that 3 by x plus 2, because to get from x minus 2 to the LCD, I need an x plus 2. Okay, so it's 3 times x plus 2. Then the next one is already fine. So I'm just going to write that again, negative and in brackets x plus 3. That negative is very important. To get from my last denominator to the LCD, I need x minus 2. So I'm going to say 6 times x minus 2. Now the denominators are all thrown away because the denominator is the same everywhere. And now I multiply in 3 times x and 3 times 2. 3 times x is 3x plus 6. And then I multiply the negative in. And I get negative x, negative 3. And I multiply the 6 in. And I get 6x minus 12. Now I take all the x's. I first simplify a little bit. 3x minus x is 2x. 6 minus 3 is 3. And on the other side, just 6x minus 12. I take all the x's to the one side. I get negative 4x. And all the numbers to the other side, I get negative 15. So x is equal to 15 over 4. That's equal to 3 3/4. That is a possible answer because that's not part of my restrictions. And if I go put it in, it will, if I go put it back into the original equation, the left-hand side and the right-hand side will be equal. Right, the next question, number 7. Number 7, okay, first I'm going to factorize the denominators. So the first one I cannot factorize, it stays the same. Then I take out a common factor of 2 there, so it's 2 and in brackets x minus 4. This trinomial is factorized as x minus 4, x minus 6. Now I need to find the LCD. Okay, Gr10 is in Afrikaans, so it's LCD. The LCD will be x minus 6, 2, x minus 4, and then they repeat. So it's 2, x minus 4, x minus 6. Okay. Now I ask myself, What do I multiply this first one with to get to the LCD? A 2 and x minus 4. So it's 3 times 2 times x minus 4. What do I multiply this one with? That one needs the x minus 6. So it's going to be negative 5 times x minus 6. The last denominator only needs a 2, so I'm going to multiply 2 with x minus 24. Now I'm going to multiply all of this in. Multiply it in, and I get 6x minus 24 minus 5x plus 30 is equal to 2x minus 48. I simplify a little bit, take all the x's to the one side, and I get the answer x is equal to 54. And that is a possible answer. Oh, and I didn't really talk about the restrictions. The restrictions are x is not equal to 4 or 6. Right, number 8. I'm going to factorize the denominators. That denominator factorizes as x and in brackets x minus 4. Okay, that's also my LCD because I have an x and then an x minus 4 and then it repeats. That 2 is actually over 1. Okay. So now I ask myself, what do I do to this denominator to get to the LCD? I multiply by x minus 4. So there on top, I'm going to take that and multiply it by x minus 4. The next one is already like the LCD, so I just write it down, minus 5x. Then this 1 needs to be multiplied by the whole LCD. So it's 2 times x minus 4. Now I'm multiplying all of this out. This is going to be the FOIL rule. And then this multiplied in. Okay, so let's do the FOIL rule. 2 times x is 2x squared. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8x. 1 times x is 1x. And 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. And the minus 5x stays there. Then I multiply the 2x in. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 4 is negative 8x. Now I simplify a little bit. And in the end, I take all the x's to the one side, all the numbers to the other side. And I get x is equal to negative 1. That is a possible answer because my restrictions were that x is not equal to 0 or 4. So that is a possible answer. Next. Number B2. Okay, for this one, I don't need to factorize, but I just need to find my LCD. Okay, I have x minus 1, x plus 2, and then x minus 1 again. So the LCD will be x minus 1 and x plus 2. The restrictions, x is not equal to 1 or negative 2, because then it will give me 0 below the line. Okay, so to get from this first denominator to the LCD, I need to multiply with another x plus 2. So I take the top one, x minus 2, and I multiply it with x plus 2. To get from the second denominator to the LCD, I need to multiply with x minus 1. So I have negative 5 times x minus 1. My last denominator needs to be multiplied by x plus 2. So I take the 7 and multiply it by x plus 2. Now the first one there would be FOIL rule, and I get x squared minus 4. Then I multiplied the 5 in, negative 5x plus 5. And I multiply the 7 in, and I get 7x plus 14. Now I'm going to take everything to the left hand side and 0 to the right hand side, because I identify that I have a quadratic equation. So x squared minus 12x minus 13 is equal to 0. Now I factorize the left hand side and I get x minus 13, x plus 1. Set each of the brackets equal to 0 and I get x is equal to 13 or x is equal to negative 1. Okay, those are not part of my restrictions, so both of the answers work. Okay, number 5. Number 5, the only thing that I see that bothers me over here is that these two are switched around. So I need to do a sign change to switch one of them around. I chose this second one to switch around, which means I'm going to change the sign in front of it to a positive, and then it switches around to x minus 2. Now to find my LCD. My LCD will be x minus 2, x minus 3, and then x minus 2 repeats. So I just write it once. So the LCD will be x minus 2 and x plus 3. Now, the restrictions will be x is not equal to 2 or 3. Okay. Now I ask myself, what do I do to this first denominator to get to the LCD? I need to multiply it with x minus 3. So it's going to be x times x minus 3. What do I do to the second denominator? That one needs the x minus 2. So I'm going to take the 1 and multiply it with x minus 2. Then the x minus 2 there needs to be multiplied by x minus 3. So it's 2 times x minus 3. Now I multiply in. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 1 times x is x, 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 3 is negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, now I identify that I have a quadratic equation, so I take everything to the left-hand side and make the right-hand side 0. Then I factorize the left-hand side. X minus 4, x minus 2. I set each of them equal to 0, so it's going to be x minus 4 equal to 0 or x minus 2 equal to 0. So x will be equal to 4 or 2. Now I check my restrictions. Oopsie, x was not supposed to be equal to 2, so the 2 will be not applicable. And the only answer that works is x is equal to 4. Next. Number 7. Number 7, I'm going to factorize the denominators. Okay, so only the last denominator can be factorized. It's factorized as x plus 6, x minus 3. Now I find my LCD. X plus 6, x minus 3, and it repeats. So the LCD is x plus 6, x minus 3. X is not equal to negative 6 or 3. Now I ask myself, what do I multiply this denominator with? With x minus 3. So I take the top and multiply it with x minus 3. The second one, I have to multiply it with x plus 6. So I take the top and multiply it with x plus 6. The last one has already has the correct denominator, so I just write it down, negative 23x. I identify this. Okay, so first I simplify a little bit. I see that I have 3x squared on both sides, so that just cancels out. Then negative 9x plus 4x is negative 5x minus 12. And on the other side, 18 minus 2 minus 23 is negative 7x minus 12. So I take all the x's to the one side and all the numbers to the other side, and I'm left with 2x is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0. Was that one of my restrictions? No. So that is a possible answer. Okay, and that's it for today. If you have any questions, please email your teacher.